What is your favorite?
Yeah. So I think my favorite like myth buster / is this like one size fits all when it comes to birth control. People will try a birth control when they're 13 or when they're 16 and have a terrible response and then have this visceral response to it their entire life. And you tell them like, that would be, and I use this analogy all the time, that would be like me saying, okay, when I was 13, I tried an M&M. I hate candy. I hate chocolate. I'm done. Right? Because your body and changes over time, your medication tolerance, your cycles change, your hormones change, how we give hormones, how much we give, the nature of which we do it, how we do it. Like whether it's a Nexplanon or an IUD and that we can really individualize to meet your needs. So I usually do like a needs assessment, like, tell me what your goal is here. And people will say like, well, my friend just got the Nexplanon and she said it's awesome. My other friend got an IUD. She said it's terrible. So I don't want the IUD and I want the Nexplanon. And I'll tell them like, no, like throw that mentality out the window because there's really great options that may be specific to you. Do you have acne you want to get rid of? Do you hate having your cycles? Are you an avid swimmer and don't want to be bleeding during like this time? There's so many things that I think that we can do, and it's not just about the cycles. Some people have really debilitating diseases that they can't have a cycle, or they're at an increased risk for bleeding or blood clots. And so this one size fits all of like, all birth control is bad or all birth control is wonderful. I would love that myth to really go by the wayside and just say like, no, a good provider will tell you I'm going to find the hormonal option, right, that works for you the best. And the first question I always ask is like, well, what's the goal? And people are like, well, it's birth control. And I say, well, I call it hormonal control, but what are you trying to control? Like, do you truly want to prevent birth? And people are like, well, it's actually more about my cycles. Well, then we could do lots of different things, and sometimes it's like longevity. I'm in med school, I know you interviewed some med students. I'm in med school. I know I don't want to get pregnant for, the next 4 years. And I'm like, great, the IUD, set it and forget it, like, and it's not for everyone. I wish that I could, you got to give us some grace. I think that's the other thing. I wish I could predict who's gonna, just like I can't with any other meds, right? You start a blood pressure med, maybe great. Like I have patients that are, lots of patients are on weight loss medications, and I'll have patients that are like, I lost weight on this one. I didn't on this one. And it's interesting to me in that space that people are willing to try all of these different things. But then when it comes to like,
but not birth control,
hormonal control, they're like, no, don't want to. And I think part of that is the stigma around what it is.
Is that true of like perimenopause and menopausal things too, or is it just birth control?
No, it's around everything. So HRT, that can lead into like the perimenopause and the menopause. It's so interesting to me. If I could predict even 5 years ago, the next wave of like a hot topic, what it would be, it would have been perimenopause and menopause. And that's just what happened. Because for a long time, all of us in the OBGYN world were like, why is every research, every catalog, everything focused on just the reproductive years? Meanwhile, of the lifespan of women's health, there's so much more.
Right.
Like, are we truly saying that in the value we're giving to women, even in the healthcare space or in research, that it's only when you're reproductively able?
I feel like it was like that for like so many thousand years.
Like, is that what we're